London is no stranger to the fog, but rather than roll in, this mist seemed to rise, thick and slow, devouring the dark alleys of Whitechapel from the bottom up. Whitechapel Dark Mist, a Cthulhu by Gaslight mystery.
So when we left off, Rosalie Harper had been getting medical attention at a barbershop where they patched her up quite nicely. She got a few hit points back. But while she was under sedation from a chloroform-filled rag put over her face, she had the strangest of dreams where she was plummeting through different strange landscapes, outer space, the future. And it was quite the adventure for her. In the meantime, Josephus Carter had made it to the docks in the Speedwagon building, gathered a couple other Torino toughs, and headed back to the cemetery. They've gotten into the crypt and down into the hole and discovered that the bodies of the weird creatures that attacked them before had been removed, but it seemed like it would just been very recent based on a great tracking roll and looking at the scuff marks. I almost said skid marks, but that's a whole different visual in the dirt, and have followed those trails through the pretty tight tunnel that runs from the crypt, the mausoleum, to the large cavern-like room, probably 30 feet across, vaguely roundish, but, rocky and weird, uneven walls. And you remember from the last time that there was a corridor that kind of was northeast and one that was kind of southeast. And, west, of course, that heads you back towards the mausoleum and the crypt. So the track marks go right through the center of the room and head towards the northeast tunnel.
Going to point towards the northeast tunnel and say, "That's our ticket, boys. Let's keep going."
Okay. Let me have, please, a listen roll.
That is an 02 compared to a 40, which is an extreme success.
Okay. You're on the other side of the cavern, and you needed this extreme success because back from the way you came, you swear you just heard a loud thump of something hitting the ground.
Do Darren and Irish hear it as well?
Give me one roll for the both of them, and let's give them the same listen skill you got. They probably built similarly to you as far as occupation-wise, so yeah.
A 90.
They have no idea. I mean, remember, this is a 30-foot cavern. You're headed towards the opposite side tunnel. There was about 30 yards of that first tunnel, so it's 120, 150 feet away.
But it's a straight shot?
Not quite straight, right? So the hole in the mausoleum, it's the tunnel from there is straight-ish to the cavern. In the cavern, you can either veer off to the right or veer off to the left. The left was taking you to the northeast tunnel, so you started to head that way. So the sound came from back in the mausoleum area down, and so you heard it echoing or traveling through that tunnel. Does that make sense? I feel like I probably way too long to answer that question.
I'm going to turn around and I will pause for a second. Do I hear anything else?
You had an extreme success? Yeah, you hear some voices. Can't tell what they're saying. And you think you hear the footsteps of folks walking away. And then the grinding of the crypt door being closed.
Okay.
You're not real concerned about the crypt door. You know, you guys were able to, with a lever, put some oomph to it, the two of you, and get it to open. And you've got 2 Torino toughs with you. So you're not like, oh my God, we've been trapped in here.
Josephus is kind of torn here because on the one hand, he is very curious to know who's been dropping bodies and why. And on the other hand, he knows he needs the body of the weird thing to prove to Reggie that something is going on here.
Right. You're at a crossroads, and this crossroads look like a big underground cavern.
I think Josephus is a one thing at a time kind of guy. He perceives that whatever threat might have been coming from behind is no longer there. So he is going to keep pressing forward. And after a minute of thinking about it, he's going to pull out his penny farthing, flip it one time, not even look at it, put it back in his pocket, and start pressing on in the tunnel.
Okay. So, as I said, the tracks were pretty fresh, even somebody without a track skill. Now that the track skill has been used to identify these tracks, it's a pretty easy follow. So it goes up in the northeast tunnel. The tunnel very similar to the other one, right? Just enough, just tall enough that, I don't know, Darren Scott's kind of a tall guy. He might have to stoop over a little bit, and the width of it is pretty tight, so it's one at a time going through these, just like the other tunnel that you went down. And after a while, you start to see some, branches off. Like you could go left or right. There's branches on the left side, branches on the right side. It starts to kind of look almost, what you'd imagine it looks like in an anthill, right? Just a bunch of little tunnels. You have the benefit of these scrape marks on here. So sometimes you take a left branch and sometimes you take a right branch, and sometimes there's a little bit of a slope downwards to these things. So you're able to follow these tracks, and you've probably been doing so for 5 or 10 minutes. And
compared to my knowledge of the area, would it seem like we have gone as far underground as I would have gone above ground in the amount of time I was gone above ground?
Well, let me give you this answer, and you tell me if it gets to your question. Based on how far you've walked and the directions you've taken, you're pretty sure you are not underneath the cemetery anymore.
Okay.
That this labyrinth of tunnels extends beyond the cemetery out into the undergrounds of Whitechapel.
Are the tracks still trackable?
Okay. In fact, the more you go, the fresher they seem. So
I'm going to keep following them.
Okay. You need a listen roll. And you could do it for the other guys, and their target would be 5 less than whatever your listen is.
They rolled a 75 against a 35.
Good thing these guys are armed and strong, right? Because they're not here for their brains.
No, apparently not. I rolled a 46.
You guys follow it, and then the the tracks that you're following take a left branch, and you walk down that left branch. And give me a dexterity roll, please.
Just one?
Yeah. Who's in front? Still a kid,
Irish.
Right? Make Irish do it and give him the same dex as you. I think I'm only going to take stuff off for what's your dex?
Mine was a 95 compared to a 69. His was a 54.
Against a 69. Nice. So you guys. So tell me the order of things. So it's Irish, then you, then
Darren.
You walk straight into Irish's back. Like he just stopped out of nowhere. When you took the left branch of this particular tunnel that you were in, after about 5 or 7 feet, it opens up into a room, and he was able to stop himself before going into the room. And looking over his shoulder, you can see there's probably a dozen or more of these creatures that you fought earlier, scampering about the room. In the middle of the room, there is kind of this raised area. If it was actual furniture, you would call it a table, but it's really just how they dug out the ground. They left this thing, and those bodies of their fallen comrades are laying there. And there seems to be some brouhaha among the rest of them. Brouhaha. Yeah, give me a spot hidden roll. I think that's good. Are you bad at spot hidden?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I learned my lesson about that in the last campaign. Nah, I'm 60. Not bad.
That's pretty good.
I rolled an 03. Nice. Extreme success.
Okay. So here's what you see. First of all, you see that it's a damn good thing that Irish spotted it and was able to dexterously stop himself from just walking straight into this room. There are occasionally one of these creatures kind of running up to the table and like attempting to snatch pieces or bites out of the dead creatures. Also in the room, you had a regular success or
extreme
success. Also in the room, you see bones laying about the place. You remember your first time in here, you found the torn clothing of what was his name? Weasel. Remember?
I was about to say possum, but it was Weasel.
It was a good old Weasel Pike. So you see bones in there that have been picked clean, but there's a bit of a struggle in this room right now of some of the creatures just, I don't care if that was old Billy, we're going to eat him. And some of the creatures apparently are trying to just chill everybody down. Hold on, we'll do this in an orderly fashion. You get a leg, you get an arm, that kind of thing. And the one that seems to be trying to add some order to all of this is the one who looks vaguely more human-like than the rest of them. But
the one I spoke to earlier.
Yes. And like I said, at least a dozen of them in her.
Did we establish how many shells I had?
What kind of gun was it?
A 12 gauge pump shotgun.
That holds 5.
That holds 5.
You filled it back up after the shooting, so you had shot 3 shots. A case of them is 24, so I would think you probably, if you're taking your shotgun with you, you've got at least a small box of shells, so 24. You've shot 3, that's 21. 5 of them are in the gun, 16 of them are still in the box. How's that sound?
Sounds good. And I do think this is something that Josephus, with his background, has made an attempt with that good sight roll to count heads and start thinking about how much ammo he has.
Mm-hmm.
And
Josephus can decide whether or not those shells are in the box or if he's got them conveniently put in pockets of his overcoat or whatever. You don't have to be carrying around a box, is what I'm saying. You have that many shells.
I would think with the ease of how I reloaded earlier, they're probably just kind of loose in a pocket.
On the right side of your coat to make loading easiest. Yeah, you're experienced at all this stuff. So, yep. So Irish has a blackjack, just kind of a small, maybe 8 to 10 inch long,
like a
cudgel,
like a billy club
almost, but a little smaller than that.
Thank you for clarifying, because I had no idea what a blackjack was. You keep saying it, I was like, I have no idea what that is.
Yeah.
No, I appreciate it.
Yeah. Sometimes I got like a weighted in that swings a little freer from the rest of it so that you can get a little pop with it. But yeah. You can find the Percentile Vice merch blackjacks on our website. You will not find any weapons on our website. Though we might put it on a coffee mug.
Yeah.
A coffee mug, this is a blackjack.
Malorith's weapon is on our website.
I stand corrected. And I'm pretty sure I told you not to correct me in front of our viewers.
Damn it.
It was just less than an hour ago. So anyway, that's the situation. You do know that Darren Scott has a 38, probably holds 6 bullets as a revolver. And you could probably guess that he has some extra bullets on him somewhere because he trained up and grew up kind of like you did.
I'm going to grab Irish by the shoulder and sort of wedge myself so that we're sort of even in the tunnel, kind of pull him back into the tunnel. And I'm going to lean in and very quietly, just so he can hear me.
He being
Irish. I'm going to say, Irish, give me a spud.
You can see on his face that there's about to be a angry retort from him, like, screw you and your, Irish hate, when he realizes he probably has to hold that in, and it's killing him to hold it in.
But does he hand me a spud?
He doesn't have one to hand you.
You said earlier that he had a sack of taters.
He was joking.
Really, dude? He did. Unfortunately, you made him hold the lantern, and so he dropped the sack of taters back at the entrance.
I'm not calling him Irish anymore then.
That's potatoes. He's nothing.
Okay, let's swap out the spud.
Did you build your whole plan around this potato?
I did.
You really thought this investigator guy was carrying around a sack of potatoes?
I figured being a cop, I probably would have planted some on him.
Yeah, if you're playing Whitechapel Dark Mist Bingo, you can check off both nationalistic stereotypes and cop humor. Yell bingo when you get it.
So I'm going to whisper to him, keep the light on as much as you can. And is there like a dirt clod or something at my feet?
Absolutely. If there's not, you can probably reach up to the wall and just grab off a chunk.
So I'm going to take, with my left hand still around the pump of the shotgun, I'm going to reach down and grab a chunk of something. And the closest one to me, I'm going to attempt to bean him.
Okay. Give me a throw roll.
Oh, no.
That's base 20%. 39.
You miss him. Man, the clod, travels through the air a little bit, lands, and probably bounces once and hits a different one on the leg.
I'm getting back ready to squeeze the trigger and leveling it
How far away from the opening are you?
right in the opening.
You're
Where
right there.
if I back up, I'm covered on two sides.
Okay, so you actually have stepped into the room.
I haven't stepped into the room, but in the actual door, like you still have a little bit of.
Sure. Okay. So, I mean, if you reach left and you reach right, you would touch tunnel walls.
Yes.
But you can see into the room. Okay. So the one that got hit on the leg with the dirt god turns and snarls at the one that you tried to hit, and a little bit of a fracas ensues. You can tell that they're not really interested in going at it to the death, but there's a couple clawed hand swipes at each other and some gnarled warnings given back and forth. Mostly they're interested in feeding.
Very hyena-esque.
Can I want to look around. Now that I'm seeing they're not really paying any attention to me, I'm going to peep into the tunnel, the room, I guess. I want to see if I can see any exits.
Yeah, give me a spot hidden roll.
0.7 compared to 60, another extreme success.
Okay, you notice that there are several tunnels off of this room that just go off into more of this labyrinth stuff, you would assume. While you're doing this, the one that you've encountered before and spoke with is fighting a losing battle. and the surge of this other dozen or so of these creatures towards these bodies is becoming more than he can hold off. You can hear him saying things, talking in that very guttural human language voice. Not sure how much the rest of them can hear it, but eventually it breaks, and a swarm of them swarm these two bodies, and it is just this wild feeding frenzy as they tear into their own kind, ripping off large bits of flesh and gulping them down in huge, like, throat opening, no chew, just like snatching off a bit, and their head goes up almost like in a wolf howl kind of thing, and then they just, and then blood is splatting everywhere in this total feeding frenzy, and I need a sanity roll from you.
Sick.
98.
Okay. So,
That is not a pass.
no, it is not.
No, it's not.
And
My base is 45, if that counts for anything.
I don't think that rule applies to. It might, but I just want to check on what what the sanity loss is for just seeing a ghoul, and then I'm going to adjust that based on the circumstances here. Okay. Just seeing a ghoul is 1d6. I'm going to make that a 1d8 because of the number of ghouls and the activities. I mean, you've previously seen a ghoul. Damn, I let it out that it's ghouls, huh?
Yeah, you did.
But
I can edit that part out.
This is gross. I don't care. Leave it in there because this way I don't have to worry about keeping saying the creatures.
The thing.
These ghouls are going freaking at it, and it is a gross scene. There are entrails being thrown up into the air, and they're not even hitting the ground before one of the other ones leaps like a dog and catches the intestines in the air. It's a bloody freaking mess and a feeding frenzy. So 1d8 of sanity loss.
It was Pandalirium. It's a 1.
Well, you got off lucky.
So lucky. I get a D6, roll a 6. He gets a D8, rolls a 1.
Give me sanity roll for, I'm going to say Sean, but not Darren. He's still behind the two of you.
What's
So he
happening?
can hear what's going on, but I don't think he's getting a scene. But Irish, he got an eyeful. So give me a sanity roll on Irish.
He rolled an 18. He took my good roll.
Wow. Okay. He stomaching this very well, but not real happy about what he's seeing. In fact, completely saying without going a little freaked out on this, you can feel him stepping back away from this down the tunnel. Not like running, but just, edging back a little bit. Like, what the?
I'm going to tap him and tap Darren and sort of whisper. Well, not even like full whisper, but say, hey, move out.
All right. So you guys are going to head back down. So give me stealth rolls.
Do-do-do-do.
Just one for the group of you. But, yeah, that's too cool. Just give me a stealth roll based on your stuff.
You thought about it.
I don't think, considering the amount of noise and the seeming preoccupation, I don't think we're worried. I don't think Josephus is worried about them hearing.
Yeah, I love that. That's a really good
reason.
Summary and reasoning of this. I was thinking of giving you a penalty dice because there were the three of you. But after all that, I think I would give you a bonus dice because of their preoccupation. It would take a lot to pull these ghouls.
What I'm saying is I don't think it crossed our minds to try to do this stealthily.
Fair enough. Go. Are you just walking? You running?
We're walking.
Okay. So make me a track roll with a bonus dice. You guys have walked over these drag marks and everything, and there's been quite a lot of branches that you've taken as you go through here.
Oh no.
In 02, which is
Hell
an
yeah.
extreme success.
Dude, you push past
Followed
these
his
other
own
guys, grab the you don't have to do this, but in my mind, you kind of snatch the lantern from Irish, and you just take the lead, like certain you know your way out here, and like with complete accuracy, follow your path through the many twists and turns and turnoffs.
I think that's a good trade-off for not trying to be quiet, just thinking we'll do it quick enough that they'll still be noshing by the time they get anywhere near us.
All right. You're making your way down the thing. Give me a listen roll. And you can roll it for all three of you, with those two will have a skill 5 less than yours.
I made a 24 against a 40, and they rolled a 74 against a 35.
So that 24 is a normal success, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. You're not sure, but you think you might hear a single set of steps from behind you. But you're not sure. It could be just Irish and Darren.
Is there an opening coming up? Like,
Yeah, you're about to get to that main cavern, the first big round cavern room. You're about to get to there.
when we hit the main cavern, I am going to pull Darren and Irish to the south as though we were going to go in the other tunnel.
Right. So there's 3 tunnels, right? You're coming out of the northeast tunnel. There is the southeast tunnel and the west tunnel, which takes you back out of this whole place. And you're going to kind of duck into the southeast tunnel.
No.
Okay.
I'm going to pull them to the south.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to position Darren up against the back wall and tell him to ready his pistol. And I'm going to get just outside of the doorway. Like when something comes through that door, I'm ready to pull the trigger.
Okay. So you've kind of set up a little ambush in this cavern. And yeah, sure enough, maybe a minute and a half, maybe less after you guys get in there. Kind of loping into the room, a little bit hunched over. Sometimes his hands are hitting the ground as part of it. Sometimes they're not. Comes the one that you've seen and talked to before. And this time, those human characteristics you could still see in him are a little fainter. And there is blood all over his face. And in that moment, you realize when it went frenzy, he went along with it too. But something broke him out of that. But it is that one looking a little less human, at least for the moment, right? He's kind of, you can tell he's in this fervor. But he lopes into the room. I set on the west tunnel, clueless to your presence and even existence at this point. So what would you like to do?
I absolutely pull the trigger.
Okay. So give me a shooting roll. I guess that would be a firearms. You're with a shotgun, right? Yeah.
I'm spending 13 luck
To make it a hit or to make
it
like
a hit.
A better one. Okay.
God.
Based on the circumstances, normally when there's a shot like that, then the defender has an opportunity to dive out of the way. He had no idea you were there, so I'm not giving him that opportunity to dive out of the way. So roll your damage.
Point blank.
So you were just inside the opening, standing off to the side, waiting for somebody to come through. Yeah, point blank.
How do combat in Cthulhu? So
We
little.
hand me 2d6.
We do combat so little.
$11.
Total mind blank. Like 11 for what?
For what?
Oh,
Damn.
yeah, I remember.
The thing I asked for.
The majority of your blast just slams into his side, and his loping run turns into this roll. Right, gets blasted sideways and rolls. It slams up against the cavern wall, and then starts trying to get up. I need a sanity roll for Darren. This is the first time he's seen one of these things.
Go back to the blue dice that I've been using for them. 56,
What is your sanity?
44 current.
Okay. Yeah, so give me a 1d6 for sanity loss for Darren.
4.
4. Okay, Darren screams. His scream is almost as loud as the reverberating echo of this shotgun blast, and that just about deafened everybody in this room. It's 30 foot wide, but it is all very enclosed earth, right? So loud bang, big flash of light. The ghoul tumbling up against the wall. Darren is screamed out for a minute, gathers himself, and pulls his gun up and shoots. Roll a shot for Darren. Firearms, a handgun, and let's say he's got a 40 skill in that, please.
30 even.
Okay. Yeah. Again, I'm not giving this creature a dive out of the away roll because circumstances. So roll that beautiful bean damage.
Beautiful bean.
Do you know off the top of your head what the damage is on a 38?
I don't, but I
got
conveniently marked
a 32 is a 1d8.
I think a 38 would be like 1d6. 32's a little bit.
Wow.
Wow.
A 38 revolver is a 1d10, but his range is only 15 yards. That's 45 feet. This is a 30-foot room. He's not that far away from him. So, yeah. It's a 1d10.
6.
So after recovering from his scream, he puts a bullet right into the forehead of this ghoul as he's trying to get up off the ground from the shotgun blast. Right between the eyes, and the ghoul slumps to the ground, dead. And you guys, your ears are ringing again from a second loud gunshot in here.
I'm going to take a second and readjust my eyes, and as soon as the flash is gone and the room sort of starts reverting to normal, I'm going to replace that shell.
Okay.
Do I hear anything, see anything?
I will let you make a listen roll, but with a penalty dice right now because your ears are ringing from the shots that have happened.
That's a fail either way, 95 or 45.
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, you know that feeling when you've heard something loud and it almost feels like your ears are clogged up and you're on a plane or something. That feeling, that's where your ears are at right now. So you strain to listen, but
It sounds like I'm underwater and there's bells.
Yeah, exactly. That's a much better explanation of it.
So I'm not hearing anything. I'm going to tap Irish, and being as how my ears are fudged up, I'm going to pretty much yell at him. Okay, we need to grab him and carry him out. You know how, like, if you have headphones on, you say way too loud.
Yeah.
And I'm going to run over, and I'm going to keep one hand on the shotgun, but I'm going to try to start, like, throwing the ghoul guy over my shoulder.
Yeah, if you're going to hold on to the shotgun, you're definitely going to need Irish's help getting this body out. But I could see where you guys would, throw one of his arms over each of your shoulders and kind of drag him out of there. Yeah.
That was my intention.
Mm-hmm.
Like the six-legged race, I guess,
Yep. So you're having Irish do that. Darren is like just staring at the tunnel that the ghoul just came out of, still got his gun up at the ready. He took a little bit of sanity damage, not enough for him to go off the rails, but he's a little shaky in his boots. And
Josephus figured he would be too freaked out to try to help touch the thing. So,
yep. And the only reason I'm not having another sanity roll for Sean McGee, Irish, is because he saw the full display of the feeding frenzy and made a successful sanity roll. Compared to that, shooting this guy and he's dead, nothing. He was like, now, there's still this look in Irish's eyes like, what the hell is this? And is this even possible kind of thing? But he's got his composure. He'd rather not be here. Probably would rather not have half of a dead ghoul strapped across to his shoulders with you, but he's hanging in.
He's had worse Mondays.
Yeah. So heading out the west tunnel towards the exit?
As fast as possible.
Yeah. So you're dragging a pretty large creature, heavy, but yeah, you make your way there. Darren is kind of like stepping, it sidesteps its first and then walking backwards, following you guys because he is not taking his eye off of the tunnel that the ghoul came through. So you get into the west tunnel. Probably at that point, maybe he's willing to turn around and walk by you. So the two of you guys, you and Irish, kind of have to crab walk through this tunnel. It's not big enough to go 3 wide. It's not big enough to go 2 wide. So essentially you have to walk sideways with you, the dead ghoul, Irish, sidestepping your way down the tunnel. And when you get to the end of the tunnel, it's partially blocked by a body. And I need you to give me a spot hidden roll. Even on a failure, there's going to be some things that you see, but I want to know what degree of success you get on the spot hidden because certain things.
Regular success, 44 on a 60.
Okay. The room is dark because the crypt door has been closed, but you've got the lantern, right? And when you bump into something, you probably find a way to have somebody in my head, since you had a shotgun and a ghoul on either side of you, the Irish was probably holding the lantern.
Yeah.
So you get it from him, he passes it up to you, you shine your light into the coffin-shaped hole that is the entrance to this whole labyrinth. And there's the body of a man. It appears that every bone in his body has been broken. There are several places where they're just compound fractures and the bone is jutting out of his skin. There are other places where it's not jutting out, but you can tell it's broken because of the way his chest is caved in or the side of his skull is caved in. There's blood involved here, but just a quick look up and down, and it doesn't appear any portion of him has not been broken. And if you look at the legs, they're cocked off at weird angles. There's bones sticking out. You look at the arms, they're laying in positions that bones would not allow. Some of them are sticking out. His chest has been crushed in on one side. His head, his facial bones and the orbitals and everything, all of it has been crushed in at some point. But what you can tell is this very crushed face is that of Jacko, the gentleman you saw snatched by the fog outside of the Copper Lion.
After we had that altercation with him.
Right. He met you in the alley when you first saw the body. I think you told him to go fuck himself. Yeah.
Vaguely remember that.
Yeah, something like that. But Jacko was the 5th missing person in the last few weeks. Jacko's body is laying there completely crushed.
I'm going to... He sees it, he recognizes it, and he gives a thick, like, audible kind of grunt sigh.
What's going through your mind right now? What's the thoughts and emotions behind that groan? Because I'm trying to figure out, is it like, holy shit, now I got 2 bodies to carry, or if there's some remorse in there, or why the fuck did I tell him to fuck off? I wish those weren't our last words. I wish I'd told him what I really felt about him.
There's no real remorse, but what he is thinking is, I have this body.
Sorry, PV said, what a crushing disappointment.
It was just fun.
It's a good one.
Oh,
People
snap.
were trying to be serious. Jesus.
So I have this one heavy body that I need to get out to prove my point. Josephus, with his background as investigator and providing security, knows that we're probably going to be followed at some point.
You'd
And-
like to have both of these bodies, but you also have a time constraint here.
We'd like to have both of these bodies. There's a time constraint and there's an element of danger in crawling my fat butt up there with this heavy ass ghoul that we have to have. Josephus knows that he has to tell Darren to drag this body a little ways back because he knows once they find this body, they're not going to be worried about us anymore for the 5 minutes it takes for them to have a feeding frenzy. They're going to fight each other, especially in these small corridors. It's going to buy enough time for us to get this one out, and we can get it to Reginald and possibly come back with actual manpower and get this place cleared, because I kind of intended to clear it when I thought it was just this one, and once we got down there and there were dozens,
Okay.
discretion is the better part of valor, so let's just get on.
That's a real growth moment for you.
Okay.
Discretion being the better part of valor. All right, so let's hold that scene for just a second. We were on different timelines here, right? Because although we went through yours pretty quickly, that was probably a couple hours worth of time as they sedated you and patched you up. Then the sedation wore off. You woke up and everything. So we're probably at about an equal point in time here. You are at the street where the barbershop was, which was about halfway to the Speedwagon offices. So you're not far away from the cemetery. Not to say that you have to go to the cemetery, but I'm just giving you an idea where you are. A couple blocks south and you're going to be at the docks. A couple blocks northeast you're going to be back at the cemetery, or you could head home and nobody would think lesser of you. What is Rosalie doing?
Rosalie is gonna go find Josephus at the cemetery. Josephus.
Yeah.
What did you do? Oh God.
So as you get to the cemetery, it is pretty dark now. There's a little bit of moonlight shining through the clouds, but it's not helping a lot because all it is doing is illuminating the fog, right? So it's actually making the fog wider and brighter, so it's more obstructive to your vision. Kind of like when you try to put your high beams on right in the fog. It's like, oh, that was a bad idea.
That helped none.
It's about there. So it's really dark outside, a lot of fog. And you get there. As you're approaching, when you're about 50 yards away, you can just see through the fog the form of two bodies. They're either wearing like white overcoats or it's just the damn fog. But you see them moving away pretty quickly from the crypt. You notice that the crypt door is now closed. You might give me a listen roll.
I was so entertained by the story. You scared me with the roll. 86. I failed.
Okay.
Oh, failed.
There's some sounds going around. Maybe it was some discussion between the two of them, and maybe it was just an owl hooting somewhere. Nothing you could tell. So you're about 40 or 50 yards away from the crypt. The crypt door is closed.
I'm gonna go up to the crypt door. And although I know I can't open it, I'm still gonna push on it because we left it open. I know we left it open.
Yeah. You can push on it. It doesn't seem to be budging. The rake or shovel with the wooden handle that you guys attempted to, use to pry it open before is still propped up against the wall there. So you could use that if you'd like to try.
No, I'm kind of look around in the darkness and go like, Mr. Carter. Carter, are you out here?
Okay. So, based on your plan, Josephus, what's going to have to happen in order for Darren to be able to get up there to move this body back? You, Sean, Irish, and the dead ghoul are going to kind of have to like tiptoe past this body in this very tight space. It can be done because just last episode, you, Rosalie, and two of these things were in this thing, but you kind of have to like step over the body to give him room to grab it and pull it in. So, kind of awkward because you're still carrying the dead body of a ghoul. You guys are still having to kind of work crab-like walking. So it takes a minute to like, it's like freaking Ross going pivot. It's that awkward situation, but eventually Darren is able to get the body of Jacko, who you may remember was a large man himself. So give me a strength roll from Darren. But Darren, I already said, was a large man himself. Jacko is not quite the man he used to be. So make a strength roll with bonus dice for Darren to see if he can pull this body out.
A 0-5.
Danny reaches down with one hand, grabs a protruding collarbone, and just snatches Jacko up off the ground and slides him down. Probably drags him about 5 feet down the tunnel and then wedges him around him and tosses him to the east down the tunnel. And then comes back out to join you guys. Make me a listen roll for you.
57. Hold on, I have to get my character sheet back. Shouldn't have closed this. Yeah.
Reckon, second, frecken.
57 is a fail.
Okay. All right, so the body of Jacko has been cleared. You and Irish are holding a dead ghoul, and Darren is stepping back into the room. Need a spot hidden roll from all three of you. And their skill is 5% less than yours.
They failed. I passed with a 44 against a 60, so a regular success.
So as you guys are maneuvering, 3 grown men and 1 really big creature in what is essentially a grave-sized hole, as you're maneuvering in there and moving more towards the west side so that you can crawl up out of this thing, the lantern light passes across the ground at one point, and because it's so dark in here, it lights up really well. There's a white, like, rectangular object on the floor. When the light hits it, because it is white, it just, like, out of the corner of our eye, yeah.
Gonna pick it up.
Okay, you are holding a white paper hat, kind of like the kind you would
Nurse hat.
Huh?
Like a nurse hat.
Kind of, but it looks more military, like long.
Waffle House.
What's that?
The Waffle House hats.
Yeah, right. And there's some writing on the side of the hat. You would have to make the effort with the lantern, and
I'm gonna put it in my pocket for now,
fair enough.
and we're gonna try to get this ghoul hefted up.
Cool. Outside the door, Rosalie, what are you doing?
I guess I'm gonna try to hang around and wait because I guess Carter went somewhere. I mean, the mausoleum's shut. I can't get in. I know I can't. He must have gone to get help, but I thought he'd be back by now. It shouldn't take that long. But he said he was coming back here, and this is the one place I know he'll come. So I'm gonna wait for him. But I'm gonna
Sure. Make me a listen roll.
listen. I failed it.
Okay.
I want to use 6 points of luck to succeed.
Okay. You hear no voices, but some thumping, scraping sounds from inside the crypt. Like right inside the crypt.
No. Nope. Not for me. I'm going to move myself away from the door. I'm going to find like a large statue kind of thing and kind of
Absolutely.
duck
There's a
behind it.
large statue or a good headstone or something that you can kind of duck
Crouch down and
behind,
wait.
watch the door. Back inside, you guys are, with some difficulty and some effort, able to hoist yourselves up out of the hole, get the body out of the hole with you, get Darren up out of the hole. And yeah, so you're up there, and now it's just a matter of getting the door open. But give me listen rolls, please.
We hear nothing.
Okay. Cool. So you guys are going to try to open this door. So from your side, it's a pull in, not a push out. From your side, it's a push in. The whole physics of it probably should have been thought out way back 3 or 4 episodes ago when we first opened the door, but that's just what we're going to say. But there is, enough of a lip on the door that it wasn't closed completely perfectly, that the 3 of you guys can try to open it. So make me a strength roll with 2 bonus dice to represent your 2 helpers.
Helpers.
Or 3 bonus dice, did you?
I rolled a 96, a 76, and a 66 against a 35.
You can tell that there's somebody trying to open the door from the inside. What are you going to do?
On a meta level, I want to go help him, but I think after the night she's had, it's like something is trying to get out of Mausoleum. That is a big no. Give me a justification to go help you.
So give me intelligence roll.
I'm going to use 5 points of luck to succeed.
Okay. So as you're sitting there behind watching this, you knew a couple things, right? Your mind is just starting to really clear up from the chloroform. But the plan was that Josephus was going to get some help and coming back to this place, and he was going in there. And you remember he told you, if he doesn't return, get that finger to somebody. Putting that together with seeing 2 guys right before you got there kind of move away from this crypt, you could surmise that somebody else had closed these doors, and who is trying to get out is Josephus. But even having that thought, there's still that part of you that is, or it could be those damn things. So there is reason why you might want to see or figure out, but there is also reason why you would hesitate doing so.
So after a few minutes of watching them struggle to open the door, realizing that they're probably not going to get out without help, I'm going to very apprehensively, with my revolver pulled out, walk up to the door and just like kind of look at myself and go, shit. Carter! Carter, is that you?
You can hear that.
Yeah, open up.
Oh, thank God. Okay. I'm going to grab the shovel and like jam it in there. I would like.
So between those 3 guys pulling on the inside, you using the shovel as leverage, and putting your shoulder into it, the door creaks open and you're able to come outside to a very foggy night that's a lot darker than it was when you went in. And you walk out carrying this dead carcass. Is there anything you'd like to do while we're still right here?
gonna look at her and I'm gonna look at the thing and I'm gonna say, I brought flowers.
I'm gonna have a moment where I kind of think I might still be high, and what? What did you say?
Did she hear the thing earlier?
Yeah, she was there when the thing said,
Yeah.
flowers delivery tonight.
Then I'm not going to explain
It was
myself.
part of a bargain, right, that you guys struck with him. Like, we're not going to attack, and he wouldn't do anything, but
Yeah.
make sure the flowers delivery tonight.
But I don't think I'm making the connection of what flowers you're referring to. So
I looked up at him and said, I brought flowers.
Yeah, by the way, as he walks out, he has the dead body of a ghoul hung
Yes.
over his shoulders, and a guy who you've never met before.
what are you going to do with that thing?
We're going to take him to Reginald. It's a little better than a finger, I surmise.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it is. Who are these people?
Irish and Darren.
Irish, Darren. It's a pleasure, I guess, to meet you. I have a splitting headache, Carter, and I would really, really I'd really like to go home. It's been... Oh, but I do have something to tell you. You remember they told us about those guys that have, like, no wrinkles and no hair and no facial expressions? You remember that?
Yeah.
The naked guy that came out of the alleyway. Yeah.
I saw another one tonight, right? But what was crazy was the little bug, Gregory, is that his name? Something? Georgie was tapping at the glass at him, no matter where I moved. That's what Georgie is trying to get to, is one of those things, those new kind of people things. That's what Georgie's trying to get at. That's what he's leading us to.
All right. Well, that will be helpful in the future, but for right now, there's 12 more flowers down there, and I don't trust this door, so let's
go.
Make tracks.
Okay. Did you want to look at the white object that you're outside?
Not here.
Okay. All right. Well, that's where we're going to stop it for the night.
Ooh.
Join us again next Tuesday night as we continue this adventure and wonder how our investigators are going to get the body of a dead ghoul through the streets of London to the police station, which is on almost the polar opposite side of Whitechapel from where they are right now.
So you know those, like, Victorian era sunglasses, like they're round and like thick like Coke bottles and on like wires.
Mad scientist glasses.
I pull one of those out of my pocket and I just so happen to have some clothes, some spare clothes, and I put it on the ghoul, and now we're doing Weekend at Ghoulies.
Okay, I'm done.
Yeah,
Thanks.
yeah. We'll cut all of that out for anybody who wants to watch this on video on demand. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We are Percentile Vice. I'm Steve. That's Emily. That's John. We've had a blast tonight. Well, I don't know about those two, but I've had a blast tonight. Thanks for joining us. Remember, we stream Saturdays and Tuesdays. Saturdays is our TTRPG Gab. We talk TTRPG topics, and Tuesdays is our actual play. Come join us again. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Weekend at Ghoulies, though.
Shut up.